Radio610.com.
John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, joins us every Tuesday at 5:30 or so, and he does again today on 365 Sports. And we're going to do everything we can, Paul and Craig, to avoid the Astros, right? We're not going to talk about them in the World Series.
I mean, we should. John's very excited.
John's right in the middle of it. John, 4 times in 6 years, they annihilated the Yankees. What's it like in Houston right now?
It's a frenzy. One reason is the Rockets and the Texans are so bad. They both have one victory. The Astros won the same number of games in New York when they annihilated the Yankees. One of the things they're trying to avoid is an upset like last year when they lost to Atlanta in 6 games. They were favored here over the Nationals in 19. They had Verlander and Cole, 2 20-game winners, and they lost every game at home. It was the first World Series in which both teams lost all their home games. Unfortunately, the Astros had home field advantage. And they won't ever come out and say this, but they want to win a World Series that is not tainted. And people can't say they cheated. And even though there's only 5 players still here, they still get that. They haven't been to the bank in Philadelphia, one of the places they haven't played since the scandal. So their fans are planning all these things about trash can banging. And that's so old it's got moss on it. They've been through that. They get terrible receptions at Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium, and yet they continue to win primarily because they have a great pitching staff to the deep. Jose Urquidy, one of their regular starters, is 3-0 in the World Series. He hadn't pitched an inning because they just can't find a way to get him in. Ryan Stanek, who had a 1.13 ERA, the lowest in baseball. He's pitched 2 innings since in the 7 games. That's because they got really good relievers. They haven't been banged around. To do what they did against the Yankees with Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, and Kyle Tucker hitting a 184 combined, it's amazing. It's amazing how they could be if those guys all started to hit at the same time.
John, they're also maybe better than anybody else in talent development of their own guys coming up through the system and being not only good players, but, I mean, so far, like, if you look at their lineup, all the guys that came up through are studs. I mean, super studs.
I heard on MLB radio a couple of months ago, a couple of general managers talking about teams do everything they can to get good pitching. The Astros have 7 starters, and the only one they didn't develop is Justin Verlander. 6 guys have come up through the system. Most of their bullpen. If you look at the lineup, Jose Altuve and Jeremy Pena, Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Chas McCormick, those guys came up through the system. And it's been different general managers, different personnel directors. They just lost their assistant GM to the Giants, the BGM. James Click, the current GM for the last 3 years, he and Dusty Baker are in the last year of their contracts. And the owner, Tim Crane, said he'll address that after the season. And Dusty said he wants to be back, so we believe he will. But there are stories out there that Click and Crane have different philosophies, and it'd be hard to get not bring a guy back after he went to the World Series. I don't know why you would tinker with anything. And the big personnel decision is Justin Verlander. When he hit 130 innings, he could opt out of his contract. He made $65 million the last 2 years while he was recovering from Tommy John surgery. This year he made 25. If indeed he's 39, so he'll be 40 next season. He says he wants to pitch till they tear the jersey off of him. So if he wants, like, say, 2 years and an option, I don't think Crane will give it to him. If he wants Max Scherzer money, $43 million a year, I don't think Crane will give it to him. He would have 6 other pitchers if he left, but how many Cy Young Award winners would be leaving a franchise? And would somebody give a 40-year-old pitcher a multi-year deal no matter how good he was that season?
John, what did you think of Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers?
I thought if he stays healthy, it's a great deal, but he's been hurt the last 2 years. Craig, he's 205 pounds. He took a beating at Stanford. He's a great runner, receiver, returner. Then he gets here. He plays great. He gets his big contract. Then he starts getting hurt. So if they've got a healthy Christian McCaffrey, it's going to be a great move. Unfortunately, he can't play quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is not playing very well. That division is terrible with Seattle being on top. So they could still win it. But, and then it's amazing. The Panthers, they fire Matt Rule. They trade McCaffrey. Sam Darnold's out. Baker Mayfield's out. They go P.J. Walker, who was the Houston Roughnecks XFL quarterback, and he beats Tom Brady. That's just amazing.
Well, that leads me to this one. What the hell's wrong with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and also Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers?
According to Brady, the Packers make mistakes on about 20% of their plays. And he said, guys keep making these mistakes, shouldn't be playing. Well, who are you going to play? You know, they left him with a bunch of young receivers. They didn't get a veteran to replace Devontae Adams. And those guys have dropped a lot of passes. I think I saw 10 in the last 2 games. He's got to be very frustrated. And as far as Brady, people acted like it wasn't a big deal. You lose your center and your left guard and your right guard. Obviously it is. The defense played great that first game against the Cowboys, and they haven't played anywhere near that. And then Brady's got the distraction of a divorce that's going to be so contentious. Giselle got the most high-powered divorce attorney in Florida. That could be ugly, create a distraction for him. I'm guessing he's gone after the season, and the Bucs are going to be one of those teams that need a quarterback because Kyle Trask is so far – they haven't thought much of him, and there's going to be a lot of teams in market for quarterbacks. Going to be a very good draft for quarterbacks, starting with Detroit needs one, Houston needs one, Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Denver does, but then you get one because they don't have picks. Plus, Russell Wilson's contract hamstrings them for at least 2 years. But it is amazing. Like that game last night, with the Bears. The Texans should have beaten the Bears at Soldier Field and blew it at the end. Justin Fields was awful. And then last night looked like a different quarterback against a coach who does a great job of taking out one player, of targeting one player all week in preparation. I guess he targeted wide receiver Darnell Mooney because he didn't target Philippe Herbert and he didn't target Justin Fields because Fields embarrassed them.
John, yeah, Brady said, though, he's like, retirement's not in my future. Do you think that's just today talk?
You know, if he stayed retired, would he be going through a divorce? If you're going to go through a divorce, it's got to be much deeper than retirement. And, you know, what if he wants to come back at 46 and they don't want him back? So that could create some issues. But right now, he doesn't seem like he's totally dedicated to the game, which is one of the strengths of his performance through the last 2 decades, is his total dedication. And right now, it doesn't look like he is. It looks like he's got 1 foot out the door.
Nashville's going to build a stadium for the Titans. Your thoughts that they'll get a Super Bowl? I thought Nashville would always be a great town to host a Super Bowl, but your thoughts about what they're doing in Tennessee?
Well, they're going to build a dome. They say it's too expensive to put a retractable roof. Well, hell, if it's going to cost you right now $2.2 billion, that means by the time it's done, it'll be $4.4 billion. You might as well put a retractable roof on it. But they want to host a Super Bowl there, and Nashville is still a small city. It's growing. Hotels pop up all the time, but the traffic is like Austin, a city that's grown and is fabulous, and people move there, but they haven't kept up the roads. And the roads in Austin are better than the roads in Nashville. But I'm happy for them to get it. That's great for them. More power to them. They're winning. They'll run away with this division because Jaguars and the Texans are bad, and the Colts are going to be bad because they've cashed their lot with Sam Erlinger because they don't want to risk paying Matt Ryan an extra $17 million next year against skill and injury. So he's not going to play because they don't want to risk him getting hurt.
Mattress Mac, we've discussed him before on this show. He's the the business owner in Houston that's worth whatever he wants to be, makes massive bets. I think $75 million now on a squeeze play for the Astros and Phillies. Is he just an absolute rock star in the city of Houston?
Oh, my God. Read the story on the front page of ESPN right now. David Fleming came here, spent a couple of days, a week before. Forbes was here, a week before that, Bleacher Report. I told Mac, who's my boss at Gallery Sports, that 60 Minutes ought to be next. I can't believe 60 Minutes hadn't jumped on the bandwagon. He bet $10 million on the Astros, and he's got a chance to win $75 million if they win the World Series. But he's not going to lose anything because he sells furniture. He's the best salesman I've ever seen, and he says that if the Astros, you come buy $4,000 worth of furniture, Astros win, you get it free. Well, if the Astros win, then he's got $75 million to cover it. If the Astros lose, then he gets to keep all their money, which is over $10 million too. So he can't lose, and he's a great story, great guy to work for.
Yep.
You know, I wasn't planning on doing any more writing, and he met with me in May. Said, I want to start a website, and I want you to be my columnist, and we got a chance to make a lot of money. I said, you already got a lot of money. He said, you never have enough. He said in ESPN, I like chaos, and he does. He's so revered here. It's just unbelievable.
John, I think you probably know Adam Winkler, who works at ABC 13 there. Used to be here, very close friend of mine. He got a free dining room set because of a Mattress Mac promotion.
Anytime he does, he's on TV and radio constantly with his commercials. And he says, do this. If it happens, you get it free. He's got 99 trucks because they promise you buy it during the day, you get the delivery at night. And I told him when we do this website, there's no paywall, and he needs to do commercials where he says, visit gallerysports.com. It's free, because the Chronicle has a paywall. But there's a lot of people that have furniture from Gallery, which he moved here from Dallas in 81 with 3 employees and started with nothing. And now he's built it into Forbes story in May said he's worth $246 million. ESPN says $300 million. Well, if they win, then he's going to be worth. I think he said after the furniture, if the Astros win, he'll walk away with only $9 million.
Only $9 million. He's also the one that opened up his entire store, and I guess the area in the back, the warehouse to those when Katrina hit. Is that right?
Katrina, and again with Harvey, he lets people come in and just go get on his furniture. And I told him, I said, how in the world do you get rid of that after people come in here? He said, we have a Harvey sale or a Katrina sale, and we sell out. He said, I kind of think people feel like it's something they can do to help. And the guy's a genius. Check out the story on ESPN.com because they do a tremendous job about his life and how all this works out. And when he walks through the stadium, never has security. He always wears an Astros jersey. Fans won't let him go anywhere. It takes him an hour to get to one of his suites or one of his seats. I went to an event for the DePelton's Children's Center here 2 Saturdays ago. It was about 15 Hall of Famers went with 100 local high school athletes helping these kids for a day. And I asked Mac to come out. He gets there late. The kids have given all of us polite applause. He starts walking up. They start cheering, and they run over, surround him, wanting pictures with him. Mattress Mac.
Thank you, John. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. Second.
That's John McClain. Again, gallerysports.com, Sports 10, Sports Radio 610 in Houston, with us almost every Tuesday on many things, and of course, a huge Baylor fan as he ends it every time with Sick'em. Deneric Prince.